I feel like super tired today, but just to answer a bunch of y'all's questions on some of the forums that all the like Nobel laureates and whatnot use with pen names and asking where we're at in terms of top wiki. So there's this concept: matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed. Every single one of y'all understand that first principle of thermodynamics. And then Newton's second law of motion, matter takes up space and has volume and mass, as expressed by force equals mass times acceleration. So what TopWiki does is, actually talking to my brother Joe helped me like work this out in my head. So if we were to teach like graduate students materialization, one of their first questions would be like, well, there is no such thing as materialization because matter cannot be created. Well, we all know that matter can be created through the process of materialization. It doesn't necessarily mean there are more like atoms and electrons in the system and photosynthesis and things like that. But, you know, the first thing our graduate students would be asking is like, hey, why are all these symbols missing from all the textbooks and they aren't on Wikipedia? We have the female who has sex drive here, the -E, female. And then if it links up with a male, then boom, it creates a femate. And then that becomes the basis of Newton's force equation. This is all very intuitive and can be proved that this is fundamentally correct. So it's disturbing to everyone because it's like, okay, this is missing from all the textbooks. Why? Well, the reason why TopWiki's bet is that because this understanding, as flawed as it is, as really imperfect as it is, was used as the basis of figuring out how to split an electron, or split a proton, a subprotozoan. A single-celled organism, protozoan. What's a subprotozoan? A proton. And so, for example, you have a proton. It has Roy, but it doesn't have any increased mass that can be measured. And then if it gets a BIV, think of like thermodynamics as an expression of chaos theory. So it's like negative, negative. They don't have hosts. They're floating around in space. It's chaos. It can create heat and whatnot. And then as soon as it gets trapped by a host, boom, then it can create an electron. Now, this isn't necessarily true or the best way to look at it. It's just this model was used to figure out this model. So if none of us are allowed to work with this model, which isn't necessarily perfect, because it's one step over from understanding this, then basically you have to be like George W. Bush and ask the question, are our children learning? Like, what the heck are they learning if they're not allowed to learn the most fundamental things that we understand because it's one off from the nuclear trade secrets?